In January 2014, Cicada 3301 announced that an impostor had already infiltrated their recruitment pipeline, and that genuine candidates had been contacted privately, in silence. The public puzzle, the one tens of thousands of people were still actively solving, had been rendered void. Not closed, void. The question that has never been answered is this: if the real recruitment happened somewhere no one could see, then who were the people who actually made it through, and what did they find on the other side of that door? Welcome to the Grim Archive. Tonight's file, Cicada 3301. The warning was posted on January 5, 2014, to the official Cicada 3301 Twitter account. Its language was precise. It stated that a third party was using Cicada's name to contact solvers and extract personal information. It stated that Cicada itself would never ask for identifying details. And then, the line that changed everything. It confirmed that legitimate candidates had already been reached through separate, undisclosed channels. The post was signed with Cicada's verified PGP cryptographic key, the same key used to authenticate every genuine communication since 2012. It was real. To understand what that warning cost the solvers, you need to understand what they had already survived. The first Cicada 3301 puzzle appeared on January 4, 2012, posted to the anonymous image board 4chan. It contained a hidden message inside a JPEG. That message led to a phone number. The number played a recorded audio clip. The clip concealed a book cipher. And the book cipher pointed outward, to obscure literary texts, to classical references, to a 1992 artist's book called Agrippa by William Gibson and Dennis Ashbaugh. Hundreds of solvers collaborated for weeks. Most fell away. A handful found the end. No one who reached it ever said what they found. The 2012 puzzle ended with a message posted to a now-deleted website. It said simply that the best candidates had been contacted. The community waited. Then, on January 4, 2013, exactly 1 year to the day, a second puzzle began. Same structure, same cryptographic signature, same silence at the end. A third puzzle launched January 4, 2014. The community had grown. Subreddits, IRC channels, shared wikis, hundreds of people pooling resources across time zones. They were faster now, more organized. They did not know that by the time the third puzzle launched, the 2014 warning had already been prepared. The door was not opening for them. It had opened for someone else. The imposter problem was not a minor administrative concern. For Cicada to publicly acknowledge infiltration meant that someone had gotten close enough to the pipeline to credibly impersonate it. Not just using the Cicada logo, anyone could do that. This person, or group, was contacting solvers who had already advanced far enough to be plausible candidates. They knew who was close. That implies either a breach of internal information or that the genuine pipeline and the false one were operating in the same spaces, watching the same people. Cicada's warning did not say how long the imposter had been active. It did not say how many solvers had been misdirected. Those numbers were never disclosed. Here is what Cicada's 2014 statement implies, if you read it carefully. They said legitimate candidates had already been contacted through means separate from the public puzzle. That phrasing, separate means, tells you the public puzzle was never the actual selection mechanism. It was a filter, a funnel. The real contact happened elsewhere, privately, directly, through channels the broader community never had access to. Every solver who found the end of a public puzzle and received no further contact was not at the finish line. They were at the entrance to a waiting room, and the door to the room had already been locked from the inside before they arrived. Several people who completed the 2012 puzzle have spoken publicly over the years, in forums and interviews. Their accounts differ in detail but agree on one thing. Reaching the end produced a message, and then silence. No organization reached out. No further instructions arrived. Marcus Warner, a teenager at the time, is one of the few solvers who claim to have received a follow-up contact after the 2012 puzzle. He has said publicly that he was asked questions via email. He has said, consistently, that he cannot discuss what the organization is or what it does. That restraint, maintained over more than a decade, is either a genuine contractual obligation or the most disciplined performance in Internet history. No verified Cicada 3301 puzzle has appeared since 2014. There have been candidates, posts using the Cicada imagery, cryptographic structures that resembled earlier puzzles. None have been authenticated with the original PGP key. The community still examines them. Some solvers believe Cicada went fully dark after the impostor incident, having already completed whatever the puzzles were designed to accomplish. Others believe the organization continues to operate, simply in modes that generate no public artifact. A third position, held by a minority of researchers, is that Cicada was always a single bounded project with a defined end date, and that the 2014 warning was not a crisis response. It was a closing statement. The Liber Primus, a document created by Cicada 3301 itself and embedded within the puzzle cycle, has never been fully decrypted. It is a hand-illustrated volume of runes, pages of encrypted text, and philosophical passages about the nature of consciousness, privacy, and freedom of information. The portions that have been deciphered describe an organization devoted to finding individuals of exceptional intelligence and independent will. What the undeciphered pages contain, no one outside the organization knows. Solvers have worked on them continuously for over a decade. Some pages have resisted every known cryptographic approach, which raises a question no one has answered cleanly. Was the Liber Primus left unsolvable deliberately, to keep the public occupied while the real work continued elsewhere? Three serious hypotheses have circulated among researchers for years. First, Cicada 3301 is a government intelligence agency, NSA, GCHQ, or a foreign equivalent, running an unconventional recruitment program for cryptographers and analysts. Second, it is a private organization, possibly a think tank or a technology group, recruiting for undisclosed research. Third, it was a contained social experiment designed to study collective problem-solving and online coordination, with no recruitment ever intended. Each hypothesis has evidence that supports it. Each has evidence that undercuts it. What all three share is this: none of them require the public puzzle to have been honest about its own purpose. The puzzle could have been true and misleading at the same time. What the record actually supports is narrower than any of those theories, and more uncomfortable. Cicada 3301 demonstrably constructed puzzles of genuine cryptographic sophistication. It demonstrably used a consistent and verifiable PGP key across 3 years. It demonstrably contacted at least some solvers privately. And it demonstrably warned, in authenticated language, that by January 2014, it had already done what it came to do. The record does not support what Cicada is. It does not support what the recruited individuals were asked to do or whether they are still doing it. What it supports plainly is that the most watched door was not the real one, and that the real one closed without a sound. The solvers are still out there. Some have moved on. Some still post to the subreddit, still chip away at the undeciphered pages of the Liber Primus, still mark January 4th each year in case something new appears. Nothing has. The people who know what Cicada 3301 actually is are, by Cicada's own account, the ones who were contacted in silence, and they have said nothing that could confirm or deny any theory you have ever read. That silence has held for more than a decade. It is either the most impressive organizational discipline in Internet history, or the answer is so ordinary it would disappoint everyone still looking. Subscribe. The next file is already waiting. The archive is always open.